Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this special live stream on Bumpy Road Brews. I have my pal here from Georgia Beer Reviews, John and Nelly, visiting for the night. And
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here, and thanks for bringing these beers that we're going to examine. We got from Treehouse.
Got a couple here. We're gonna do a side by side.
So we got they're both Scotch ales, and they're both barrel aged.
This one here is a bourbon Scotch aged. This is double bourbon. So they're both initially aged for 6 months in bourbon barrels, and then the double bourbon is further aged in more bourbon barrels. The bourbon Scotch is taken out of the bourbon barrels after 6 months and further aged in, you guessed it, Scotch barrels. The bourbon Scotch is 11.6% ABV.
That's up there.
And the double bourbon is 13.1% ABV.
That's very artisanal area. Okay.
Go ahead and crack these
open. Let's crack them open.
We had to work them a little bit. They got the wax seal over the cap. All righty. So let's see.
In my left, I'm pouring the.
So I'm going to do the double bourbon.
Yeah. Now these are.
All right. Double bourbon is going to be. Let's do double bourbon on the right. Or no, on the left. Double bourbon.
Bourbon Scotch on the left. Double bourbon on the right.
Double bourbon on the
left or right.
Okay. Double bourbon on the right. Bourbon Scotch on the left. And to keep it straight in my head, we're going to put these here. Bourbon Scotch on the left. Double bourbon on the right.
Now there is they're both gold waxed. Besides the name, I mean that's the label art.
The labels are identical, other than one.
Yeah, this one's got a green. And this one's got this kind of like, I don't know, purplish color. I guess it's coming up as purple. Doesn't look that purple. Okay, as you get closer, it is. So yeah.
So the color almost identical.
Yeah.
Although actually
the head's pretty much identical.
The bourbon Scotch looks a little bit more cloudy brown on mine.
You can do the light thing.
Bourbon Scotch on the left, on mine anyway, looks more cloudy and brown. But they're very similar. The colors are very similar.
Yeah.
It's the same base beer.
The double bourbon maybe a little bit darker.
I think so. I think the bourbon Scotch is a little browner, but they're both...
the heads are pretty identical. Yeah. Lacing on the glass. Legs, for sure. There's some legs.
Oh, big difference in the aromas.
The double bourbon actually leaves some more lacing.
Yeah.
With the head, if you can see that.
They're about the same on mine. I don't know.
Yeah,
very similar.
I guess. I don't know. The lacing on it could be the glass too. Who knows?
Get the aroma though. The bourbon Scotch.
All right, here's a bourbon Scotch.
Definite Scotch. I don't think I've ever actually smelled.
There's like a smoky.
It smells like Scotch. Very peaty. Yeah. Excuse me. Smoky, peat forward. Little bit of caramel like bourbon in the background, but the Scotch really pops on the aroma.
Yeah, there's
big time moss.
It has this kind of like leathery note to it.
The Scotch is definitely lead aroma.
Bourbon, a little bit of fruity, dark fruit note too. All right, double bourbon. What do we get in the aromas of that thing?
Completely different because you get the dark fruit
and
the
much
bourbon.
Darker in the fruit.
And the dark fruit and bourbon. You don't really get the bourbon on the bourbon Scotch. You get the Scotch mostly because it's so smoky, peat moss. So different, earthy. This one, dark fruit, caramel, toffee.
Yeah, raisin-esque.
Completely different on the nose. The Scotch. I'm so impressed with this Scotch aromas that I'm getting off of this bourbon Scotch ale.
It's funny that this one, the lower ABV one, smells more like a liquor.
It smells more like Scotch.
Yeah,
The double bourbon one is more subtle.
it's more like almost like an imperial stout.
I think it's just because the qualities of a Scotch ale are typically dark fruit, caramel, malt. So when you have the bourbon barrel aged Scotch ale, it kind of blends in together with what you would be getting with a typical Scotch ale. The Scotch barrel aging gives it a whole new. Because even though it's called a Scotch ale, if you've ever had a Scotch ale, it doesn't taste like Scotch. It has a very malt forward caramel toffee presentation. This one has that on the nose, but it has a Scotch liquor aroma.
To me, the Scotch one is interesting. It's more like it's interesting, more intriguing because it's different than a beer. But I think to me, like my nose is more drawn to the
I am drawn more to the double bourbon just because I like bourbon barrel aged beers. There's not a lot of Scotch barrel aged beers.
It's not as abrupt on the
and
nose.
I like
It
bourbon
kind of blends
more
in
than I like Scotch. But I'm telling you, if you like Scotch and you want a Scotch barrel aged beer just based off of the aroma alone, this one is hitting all the right notes. It's very very woody, very earthy. That peat moss that you get with Scotch, that smoky quality, all right there on the aroma before we even get into the palate.
With that said, which one do we start with? Because if this one is such an interrupter on the nose,
I say we do bourbon first
because
the Scotch is gonna. We need a palate refresher in between the Scotch. Okay,
might need to get some water out.
So we need. I've got beer. I've got a Dos Equis Ambar as a palate cleanser for mine. So we're going with the double bourbon Scotch ale first.
And cheers to everybody in the chat there. See Bill from Beer Hounds, Angie, Creative Vibrations, Kettlehead Barbecue and Beers. Cheers to you. Drewski, of course. He wouldn't miss a bourbon and a Scotch.
Beer Hounds
thing. Yep.
Yeah, Raven the Blackbird. Yes, cheers to all of you guys.
Yeah, this was very impromptu
in the chat.
Live, but we're here doing it.
All right, so double bourbon first. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is my happy place. I love Scotch ales. I love bourbon barrel Scotch ales. So dark fruit right up front, right?
Yeah.
Caramel.
I'm trying to think of them. It's got a fizziness.
It does. It's very highly carbonated, highly charged for sure. That first sip is almost like a soda pop. Very fine, prickly carbonation.
Yeah. Get a little bit of like a brown sugar note.
Brown sugar, dark fruit for me. Dark fruit, brown sugar, toffee, caramel. More toffee with this. It's so rich.
A little bit of woodiness.
A little bit of woodiness from the barrel.
There is a bitterness to it. Kind of goes off from the wood track, I would say.
So kind more astringent than like bitter in the sense of like when people think bitter, they think like West Coast IPA, something like that. This is more of like a
woody bitterness.
Well, yeah. I won't try to get too crazy with the description there, but it's not the same type of bitterness that you would get with like a bitter ale, like an IPA. It's more of a astringent note that's imparted from the barrel.
It distracts from any sweetness, basically.
Yeah. It's not a lingering bitterness. It kind of just cuts through some of the sweetness and the malt forward presentation, but it's very short-lived. And the finish drops off quickly. It's warming because of the high alcohol, and it drops off. It's not, I don't find that it has a lingering finish.
No, it drops right off. And this is the 13 point.
The bourbon Scotch is the 11.
Yeah, it kind of drinks, I'd say, more around 10%.
You can definitely tell that you're drinking a higher alcohol beer because it has that warming effect in your chest. And
there's not like
it dries out.
It's not like a ton of like alcoholic flavors. So.
No. Well, I mean, you get the bourbon flavors, but it's not boozy in the sense.
My ears.
Like if you're taking a shot of bourbon, it's not to that extent. But you get all of the pros that you want from bourbon. You get the dark fruit, you get the caramel, you get the toffee, you get the oak, but it's just right, balanced with the malt and the hops and the beer.
I'm belching up mustard pickles from the burgers earlier.
Well, that's no good.
It goes actually very well with this. The mustard pickle.
Let me one more sip.
Is there something up with the? I'm just gonna move you just a little bit here.
Because
no comment, but I can't see anything. Oh, cheers to Mary as well.
Samantha Lee, Mary, and Butch. All you guys. So very, very wonderful beer. I want to try the Scotch one now, just while this one's fresh on my mind. I will say though, the 13.1%, it's not super boozy, but because there's so much alcohol in it, it really sucks the moisture out of your mouth. It's very dry.
It's very dry.
Very dry.
Very dry.
All right, so let's do the bourbon Scotch. Cheers. Holy crap. That is Scotch forward. Smoky, peaty.
That's a lingering. I get a little bit of like it's almost like green bean or something.
I think it's just that peat moss, that peaty, funky, rotted vegetal type note that you get from Scotch. It's that. It's hard to describe.
That is a lingering note.
I like this one even better because it's so unique and so different.
I like the flavors on this one more.
Not that these are a dime or a dozen. This is like, outstanding bourbon barrel aged. These were $18 a bottle. These are not
12-ounce bottles.
12-ounce bottles, $18 a piece. But they're aged a year. 6 months in bourbon, another 6 months in bourbon for the double bourbon, another 6 months in Scotch for the Scotch. So the price is fine with me. It's high alcohol. It's quality. This is the best Scotch type beer I've ever had. I like this one better because it's so different than your typical Scotch ale is going to be more along the lines of the double bourbon barrel. The crazy thing about the Scotch ale here, the bourbon Scotch, is that it actually has Scotch liquor flavor in it while maintaining that sweet malt forward presentation and not being too boozy. This one's actually less alcohol than the double bourbon. It's not quite as warming. This one's actually a little bit smoother, I would say, too, with less alcohol. Still warming, but it's not as intense.
It's not as warming. My ears are actually cooling off.
I find that the carbonation with this one is still definitely very fizzy, but not quite as pronounced as with the double bourbon.
But I'm mostly impressed with like how long the flavors last in this. This lingers on. The other one just kind of drops off.
Cheers to Josh in the chat. Cheers to Miss Piggy. Shane Fudge. What's up, frickin' frack? Cheers to you, Shane.
We're both wearing black. It hides our fat, Drewski.
Yeah, well, apparently not good enough.
Not good enough for you.
But that's all right. You're so trim, Drewski.
Super trim.
This is.
And if you're looking for a date, then you should go on Plenty of Fish.
The Scotch one is actually, it does have more head retention and a little bit more lacing. You had mentioned that earlier, and I couldn't really, you see, I mean, it's very, very subtle, but maybe because of the less alcohol, the higher the alcohol, the harder it is to maintain a head.
There is still kind of a leathery note too on the palate.
Yeah, leathery, I guess, is a good way to describe it.
It tastes like a knife holster.
I don't typically eat knife holsters though, so it's hard
I have chewed on.
It's hard for me to relate to that.
I was a lot younger, but I did.
That bourbon Scotch, it's so different than any other Scotch ale I've had because it's actually aged in Scotch barrels, and it complements the bourbon barrel aging, but the Scotch aging is definitely the most noticeable thing with this one for sure.
The nose I like so much better on the double bourbon.
I like the nose better on the double bourbon, but I think that's just my comfort zone though, because I like bourbon barrel aged beers and the dark. I like that dark fruit component. This is more of a smoky. If you obviously Scotch, if you're familiar with Scotch, you know that smoky peat moss type aroma. But also, if you're just more of a beer drinker and you like Rausch beers, like smoked malt beers, this kind of has that.
I'm gonna see if you pick it up. Drink the Scotch, and then right afterwards take a sip of that double bourbon. There's a note in there I just picked up that I wasn't picking up before from the double bourbon. It's a spice.
It's hard to really because
I'm getting cinnamon.
Yes, but I think it's not when we drank this I think it's because the Scotch, the back and forth, it's influencing the flavor of the double bourbon now.
Yeah.
Let me do a palate here. I'll take another sip in a second. Dos Equis Ambar palate cleanser. All right, now let's do the double bourbon again. I'm still getting the cinnamon.
Yeah.
I think it's just the double bourbon is a little sweeter, and that sweetness can be interpreted as more caramel, cinnamon.
Well, I mean, if you look at
almost like cinnamon sugar, not just like cinnamon, because cinnamon.
But if you look at like certain whiskeys, like Maker's Mark, is known you get a lot of cinnamon.
Right.
Maker's Mark.
Well, and that's
so it could be
an excellent bourbon.
It's a double barrel aged.
Double bourbon versus the Scotch and bourbon with the other one. So it could just be that because the bourbon's coming through more, that you're picking up on those spice notes. I'd love to know what bourbon barrels they age it in. It doesn't say. It does say.
Oh, do you want to try to read these together? Old World aged in bourbon Scotch. Bourbon and Scotch barrels.
There's a lot of
Old World bourbon Scotch is traditional ale brewed with a complex array of malts and fermented with a
figgy syrup awaits the palate, reminiscent of British pudding and Turkish delight. British, like a figgy pudding, I could see that. But yeah, no, I really do.
Scotch ale yeast resulting. It's the yeast. Scotch ale yeast resulting. Oh, maybe it's not just that. Maybe it's everything else. But it's fermented in fermented with a classic Scotch ale yeast, resulting in a delightfully smoky tribute to the eclectic beer. Cheers to you. World of Highland whiskeys. This beer was first placed into bourbon barrels for 6 months, and after this initial rest, we then transferred into fresh Scotch barrels for an additional 2 months.
Yes.
The outcome of this extended aging is one of the most robust offerings to date and an essential addition to any Scotch lover shelf. Yes, I would totally agree with that. Intense aromas of smoky peat and herbal seagrass give way to layers of dark fruit, nuttiness, and sweet malt.
So nuttiness, fruit. This one is British pudding and Turkish delight is the tasting notes that they accompanied by pronounced char and sweet vanilla. I do pick up vanilla on this because, as with most good bourbons, you get vanilla from the wood. I guess it's from the tannins, and I don't know. It's definitely vanilla.
It's amazing how different they are because they're both the same base, right?
Yes. The difference is bourbon Scotch, which also affects the ABV as well, I guess. Well, obviously.
Cheers to Paul, PA
Brunus.
We are drinking 2 beers at our room temperature.
Just like you like it, Paul. I've been told before that I'm a moron for drinking certain beers at colder temperatures. But you know what? That's how I like them, damn it. I let them warm up as I drink them.
We do have to cuvee these.
Yeah. So I think I'm ready to do that now. But I will say, I don't think we're going to give traditional ratings, right?
No, I didn't want to rate. I actually don't like rating beers. Personally, I feel like sometimes I might do a dishonor to some stuff.
So I will say really quick, I'm not going to give them a rating to respect BuMpY's choice with this video, but I will say you can't go wrong with either one, and I think they're both world class. They should be, though.
I think that there's
for $18 a bottle, they damn well better be for $18.
I think that there's definitely one for either person. If you are,
I think
it's a Scotch lover,
go
you like peat, you like that kind of peat smokiness, definitely go for the bourbon Scotch.
If you're more like me and you like bourbon barrel aged anything, go for the bourbon. But I do like Scotch as well. if you're somebody that likes a little bit of everything, buy them both and do what we're doing, and you're going to be blown away. I think the differences between the two, considering that they're the same base beer, and Scotch ales being one of my favorite styles with the rich toffee, caramel, malt forward presentation. I mean, this is just, if you like malt forward beers and you like barrel aged beers, then both of these are going to be up your alley. Even if you're not big bourbon and Scotch drinkers, I think just the beer style itself, the Scotch ale style, will win you over.
One thing I would say is for the price of $18
Cuvée now
for one bottle, I would like to see it in a bomber,
a little bit more bang
like
for
a
your
22,
buck.
like a 22 ounce, bomber bottle, versus a 12 ounce, and I think that's gold right there.
All right, I have Cuvée mine. It just smells freaking phenomenal. That's a good idea.
You dribble a little bit down the side. You smell your finger. That smells like burgers.
Oh,
all right.
Good Lord. All right.
So yeah, you get a little bit of that. It's like the darker fruit kind of coming through more now.
I think I had a little bit more of the bourbon one left. You had a little bit more of the Scotch left.
Yeah, I'm still
so
getting.
We're gonna have a
peaty,
slightly different experience, I think.
Yeah, it's still got like a peaty kind of smokiness, but it's like definitely diluted. I think I get a lot more like kind of fruit, dark fruit notes.
You know what I just picked up on with the Cuvée of the
leather,
both?
still leather. Yeah,
dark chocolate, like, and maybe a little coffee, like a dark chocolate covered coffee bean. I think the smokiness with the dark fruit and the little astringent note from whatever hops they're using kind of combined to create like an espresso bean covered in dark chocolate.
I can see like an espresso bean for sure. I am still getting a lot of that kind of like it's like green bean or peas.
It's from the Scotch.
Peas.
It's Scotch, that vegetal.
If you mush up peas, it's that leftover kind of pea flavor.
I couldn't tell you the last time I had pea soup a couple years ago, but
yeah,
I can't tell you the last time I had just peas.
You don't just
green
eat peas.
peas.
Oh, peas are
Not
awesome.
Regularly, no. Not. I have no.
We
problem
don't have them
with
a
peas.
lot either because there's usually some individual that doesn't want to eat peas, So we had kids, they ruin it.
I am so pleased with the purchase of both of these beers. I couldn't have asked for a better friend to share them with and do this type of cross examination. I don't know, examination comparison.
But we've had the smoky one too. I have a beer. So John brought these over. Do you want to just stay live and
Sure.
just add that beer in?
We can, yeah, absolutely.
We got another smoky beer. This one comes from my fridge. I actually went to Littleton, New Hampshire.
Nice.
Man, what was it? Like a month ago at this point? Yeah, a month ago. And brewery exclusive, apparently. I have a beer. We should probably rinse out a glass though. So
I have got.
If you want to rinse,
I can rinse both of these out really quick.
These out.
I shall return.
I'll talk about the beer. This is a very smoky beer because it's a Rausch beer. And it's from Schilling Beer Company, which I have their hat right up there. Schilling Beer Company and Bissell Brothers. So Schilling's out of Littleton, New Hampshire. Bissell Brothers is out of Portland, Maine. Both pretty renowned, well-known breweries in this region. Some folks outside of here also know about them because their names definitely gotten out of there, out of Maine and New Hampshire. So they did a collaboration and they made a nice Schwartz beer. I've had this beer before, and I did share one with Tanner, which he did bring to Beer Tube Palooza, apparently. And I believe everybody down there liked it. I haven't seen the video. I'm just going hearsay from what I heard from Tanner. But to me, this Rausch beer is one of the best, if not the best Rausch beer that I've ever had. It's called Shotzi. And there it is. Schilling and Bissell Brothers.
Bissell Brothers, that IPA, the extra strong ale they make, it's basically an IPA. It's incredible. I can't think of the name of it right now. But the Bissell Brothers make some incredible ales, IPAs, and of course Schilling. They make some really good malty beers and some good. I think they make IPAs too, right?
They do.
I've had a lot of good German.
Schilling themselves, they kind of stick to the European like kind of classics. They do a really good job of that. But they're not just brewing like classics. They're brewing like classic styles that are like not known as well. So you're seeing a lot
bringing back a lot of
dead styles,
kind of died over the years.
But this is Foeder lager aged Rauch beer.
So the Foeder barrels are Foeder aged is very similar to like just a regular barrel aged. I think the difference is like
it's just straight wood.
It's straight wood, and I think they can do like the staves versus the barrels. Sometimes they specify on the label, sometimes they don't. So this may be like poured on top of a bunch of the wooden staves, or it could be in the barrel. I think that's the main differentiation with that is it's just the wood, unused oak, and it's either a fresh barrel, or it's the fresh staves. I don't think there's it really shouldn't make a difference.
Oh, Josh saw this in his bottle shop.
Nice.
You should have picked it up.
You should definitely.
You're about to find out why.
Well, you've already had it. So
5.2% ABV.
All right. Okay, nice. Wow, it's a little darker than I thought it would be. More malts. Okay.
It's got that frothy off white kind of yellowish.
It's a deep amber.
Slight khaki head.
Actually, it's kind of more copper, right? Almost copper.
I'd say amber.
Amber with copper.
Yeah.
I guess more amber. When I hold it up to the light, I'm almost getting like a ruby tint. Okay, there we go. Yeah, when you do that, that makes it fun. Although the camera's not.
It does have a clarity to it, but yeah. Well, maybe the camera doesn't like light changes. Yeah. But yeah, you can see through it. It's just kind of on the darker side. So it's got a clarity. It's holding the head retention pretty well. We went blurry.
Oh, smoked sausage. I mean, like the smoke. I love these smoked beers. These beers.
But you said sausage, not bacon.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of times people like go straight to bacon.
No, it smells like smoked sausage.
It's different, right? It's like a lighter smoke. It's still smoky.
A Polish sausage.
Yeah.
It smells really good. This makes me. Do you have any barbecue? I want some barbecue sandwiches with some coleslaw.
I don't have any barbecue.
I had a beer from Spyglass the other day. I almost brought one over here. It's only a 3.5%, but it's a collab with Jaju Pierogi, and it's a smoked Polish style beer. 3.5%, but it's one of the best smoked beers I've ever had because of the smoked malt. It just smelled like barbecue. Like it made me want to cook on the grill and like eat some pulled pork or something. This smells like smoky, like Polish sausage or kielbasa, if you've ever had that. It just smells
but like fresh.
Yeah, absolutely fresh. Fresh smoked meat. Once you get through that initial hit of this,
there's a little bit of breadiness.
You get the malt, the breadiness. Kind of like a not pumpernickel, like a darker bread, not like
a little bit of a bread, like a rye
or a pumpernickel. There's a spice note to it. I got to get into this. Cheers! It smells absolutely delightful.
Maybe a little bit like a dark crouton.
Yeah, I can see that. Holy crap! And then it opens up even more on the palate. That first sip, that smoky explosion of flavor. It's like right off of like Kansas City barbecue. and Polish sausage.
And that's a lingering
And full,
smoke.
it,
Like
so, oh my
blends
God.
well.
I love beers like this, and I'm glad. I mean, between the Spyglass one I had the other day, now this one, this collab beer, they need to bring these beers back. More and more of these beers need to start showing up again, because this is kind of one of those beers, those beer styles. The Rauch beers have kind of died out over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years. You don't see a ton of them anymore, especially up in New England, because everybody's all about those New England IPAs, and porter stouts are big up here in the colder weather. But the smoked beers like this, you don't see them. But I will say, over the last 6 months or so, I've kind of seen a little bit of a comeback. Spyglass, Schilling. I had one from Treehouse made one, a smoked beer that I had recently. So yeah, they're kind of popping up a little bit, and I hope these are here to stay again, because this is such a unique, interesting, and delightful style, especially if you like barbecue, if you like smoked meats, if you like just something different. It's so different than your run-of-the-mill type stuff. It'll really blow your socks off if you've never had a beer like this before.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking a lot. I'm going to let you talk.
No, that's fine. I think
I'm excited.
I think
I'm
we're
just
still
excited.
blurry here on this live stream.
Probably a good thing. I don't need to see me in high definition. It's nothing to.
But anyways, yeah, cheers. Beer Man popped in. Cheers to you. Kettlehead's barbecue and beer says he's got some barbecue. We could have done barbecue. I have a smoker and stuff. John coming over. He's had my brisket and pulled pork and stuff before. So
BuMpY is a very good cook, and we had the smash burgers on the Blackstone tonight. Very good stuff. I've got a post show up on my community. I took some pictures when BuMpY was
when I wasn't looking.
When he wasn't looking, but yeah. Great beer, better company, awesome food. What more could a guy ask for?
Do we cuvee into the cuvee?
Oh God!
At this point,
I don't know.
But what do you think? I mean, out of all of them, this is like 5.2% ABV beer. It's full of flavor. Like there's a bready note to it. What I like about this is it's like there's a smokiness. It's there. You definitely get it, but you're not just like, oh, it's just like bacon. I feel like I'm drinking bacon fat.
No,
it's not like that at all. It's like you're getting that bread. You're getting, you're getting the base.
You get all of the great qualities of
with a nice quality,
good malty, bready beer with the smoke on top of it.
And it's a clean smoke. It's a clean smoke. There's a difference. With barbecuing, you know, like if you're standing there in the bad smoke, it's like headed. But you get a nice clean smoke. It's fun.
Yeah, this is really good. You know what? I think we should cuvee just a touch. I'm just going to do a little bit like that, just because this is so smoky and so pleasant that I think it would really kind of combine well or cuvee well with the Scotch heat, mossy notes.
They're all brown or an amber. Cheers.
Oh, I mean, it just smells better and better the more we cuvee. It lightened it up a little bit for the lower ABV. You still get a lot of the Scotch. And then on the back end, I'm not getting so much. Maybe I should pour a little more in there. But a little bit of that smokiness.
Yeah. It's like peat. It's like peated kielbasa. No, it's like it's better than kielbasa. It's like a fine, real fine, sausage. Maybe
that's it. That's the sweet spot.
Brisket.
That's the sweet spot right there. Yeah. Here, let's see if we can get this camera to focus. Sometimes you put the
drink the yeast.
Wouldn't recommend it though. The pipe dream. There we go. I think we're good.
And we're back.
I got the perfect combination.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad that we were. Thank you so much for bringing these, 2 Treehouse beers over. We got more.
We got more reviews.
But
maybe not live. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I just figured with the amount of smokiness that was coming off that Scotch, like this would just be like, because I wanted to do this beer with you. I want to share it with you. So,
well, thank you. Yeah, it's really delightful.
secret. It's not in the title. Nobody saw it coming. Not even me or John. So
no,
but glad we could squeeze this one into this live.
And Schilling beer is so good. I've had, I mean, a lot of Pilsners and like the European style beers from them that are just really dynamite. So this collaboration is out of this world. BuMpy Brothers too. I've had a lot of their beers, mostly IPAs from them.
Yeah, this is my favorite beer from BuMpy Brothers.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's a collaboration.
It's a collaboration.
But
Shotzi.
Yeah.
You guys have got to check this out. If you live in New England or the greater New England area and you have access to either one of these breweries, chances are you might be able to get this collab. That's a good thing, too, about the smoked beers like this, the Rausch beers, the smoked malt, is you can have a super light beer like the one from Spyglass that I had the other day, 3.5%. But the smoked,
the flavor,
it was a smoke. It was considered a smoked wheat ale.
Yeah.
So it was smoked wheat malt, and it was super light, crisp, and refreshing. But the smoky quality gave it so much flavor.
Yeah, that you can sip it and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like you're not just chugging it down. Like that's the problem. Like buying some of these cheap beers and stuff. Like, I'm gonna go get some Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Right. You know,
next thing you're just drinking a 12-ounce can in like less than 10 minutes.
Get you some Pabst, pop the top, put them on your smoker, low and slow, 250 for a few hours, and then drink them. I'm telling you, the smoky qualities really just make it. It could be the lightest beer in the world, but if you have that smoked malt component in there, it's going to make it not taste like water. It's going to give it that, because a lot of light beers are like just hop water with a slight hop note, Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light.
I think I'm tasting some rice and cracker.
Yeah, but with the smoked malt, it really takes it to that next level. And the cuvee between the Schilling and the double bourbon and the bourbon scotch from Treehouse. Oh, we got 4 different breweries at work here. We got the Schilling, we got BuMpy Brothers. Or no, 3 different breweries. Schilling, BuMpy Brothers, and 2 different beers from Treehouse. A lot of barrel aging, a lot of smoked malt between the 3 of them. I would say the cuvee is pretty much world class as well. This has been a very pleasant drinking experience.
Yeah, all 3 beers, very, very good.
Where are we at? 37 minutes?
Highly recommended. Are we done in 37 minutes?
I don't know. We could keep going. I don't care.
I don't know.
Stop.
I think we're done.
I think we're done with this.
Yeah, so we can probably end this.
Tasting.
I don't know what else is going on out there
in YouTube land.
But we'll figure it out. Probably won't be like an after party on this because we can only hold 5 more people.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's anybody out there that is doing an off air or
cheers, Tanner. Even though you're an ass, smells like cheese. I know what you're getting at there. I don't smell like cheese. I did shower this morning, and anyway, cheers to you, Tanner. But yes, we'll be around later. Thomas Metal says we've got the after party, son.
So
don't call me son.
Where's the after party on
probably wild card? Eric
on the wild card. Is it on the wild card? Let us know.
So we will be there in a little bit. I think we're gonna do a couple more reviews first because we got some right. I mean,
we can definitely
because if we just
some reviews.
If we go right onto the after party and just start drinking, we're gonna be too drunk because we got some really nice barrel aged stouts and stuff.
Oh, that John brought over.
That I brought over. So we have to at least do one of them. Then I'll leave the rest with you, and you can do what you want with them. But we've got one, actually, Tanner is in the chat now, one that Tanner had and didn't really care for, but I think we're going to like it a lot more.
It's got the coconut in it.
It's a bourbon barrel-aged stout with toasted coconut in it. I can't think of the name of it, but you'll see it probably very soon on BuMpy's channel. But yeah, you want to wrap this up? We're right around 40 minutes. We've done the cuvées, we've done the Scotch ales.
All excellent.
All excellent. Highly recommend. And if you're new to craft beer or if you have a lot of really good craft beers, we both recommend trying cuvées. I've had some of the best beers that I've had. I've cuvées them with other really great beers, and I've created something even better than what was originally intended, because it's just
sometimes
one's
a bit too high on one end,
right?
And cuvées it with something else that kind of just knocks down that, like, it's too much of this, but then you kind of knock it down, you kind of blend it, and you get sometimes, like, you'll notice cinnamon or something out of something you didn't notice before.
But be a mad scientist when it comes to your beers. Mix them up and get freaky with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
So cheers.
Cheers.
That'll do it for this wonderful live examination, folks. We'll see you right here on the next one. Look out for some more BuMpY and Anile reviews.
Yeah, you can find John Anile, Georgia Beer Reviews. Putting out videos consistently.
I'm not doing a live stream so much, but I'm doing 3 to 4 beer reviews a week. So,
and I'm not so much live streaming myself either. So,
but he joins a lot. I
do join a lot of live streams. We were on Rontario's earlier. Normally, going over to Wild Card. Bearman's got a few live streams. I'm always on Beer and Cheese.
I'm always watching. I'm always watching.
Beerman also has his Wednesday show that he does at 6 p.m. Eastern. Totally spun out. I just didn't go to the beer store this week, so I couldn't find my Chewy Australian. But in the future, that Chewy Australian will be waiting around. I'll find it.
All right, folks. Cheers. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one. We're gonna end it now. I haven't done a live stream in so long that I just left the studio without ending the live stream. So let's end the live stream. What do you say? All right. Cheers, folks.